Once you've released the people who no longer align with where you're going, the next step is deceptively simple yet profoundly difficult. You have to redirect that energy towards yourself. And I'm not talking about self-focus in the shallow, ego-driven sense. I'm talking about the kind of intentional self-investment that changes the entire trajectory of your life. The kind where you treat your mind, your body, your spirit as the most valuable real estate you will ever own. Too many people, after letting go of someone or something, immediately rush to fill the gap with noise, new distractions, new people, new habits that keep them from feeling the emptiness. But here's the thing, that space you've just created is sacred. It's not a void to be stuffed. It's fertile ground to be cultivated. It's where you get to rebuild, reframe, and recalibrate who you are and what you want. The reason this is so critical is that life will always move in the direction of your dominant focus. If your focus is scattered, on proving your worth to others, on pleasing people who aren't even watching, on winning back approval that doesn't matter, you'll end up exhausted and empty. But when you turn that focus inward and ask, what would happen if I became fully responsible for my own growth? You shift from living reactively to living intentionally. And that shift is everything. Think about how much energy we waste trying to control things outside of ourselves, people's opinions, the pace of their growth, their willingness to understand us. The reality is you have zero control over that, none. But you have absolute control over how you think, how you respond, what you learn, and the habits you build. That's where the return on investment is. That's where transformation happens. And here's the paradox: the more you focus on developing yourself, the more naturally the right people and opportunities begin to gravitate toward you. Not because you chase them, but because excellence is magnetic. When you become someone who is disciplined, self-aware, committed to their vision, you don't have to beg for alignment. It finds you. That's why this step is so powerful. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means becoming the kind of person you would want to follow, befriend, or love. It means asking hard questions. Am I proud of the way I show up every day? Am I honoring my potential, or am I playing small to stay safe? Am I living by design, or am I just drifting, waiting for someone else to validate me? Those questions aren't always comfortable, but they're necessary. Because you can't build a strong life on weak foundations, and the foundation is always you. There's also a psychological depth to this process that people often overlook. When you invest in yourself, whether that's reading, training, developing new skills, deepening your emotional intelligence, you begin to rewrite the story you tell yourself about your value. You stop seeing yourself as someone who needs to be chosen, and you start seeing yourself as someone who gets to choose. That's a profound shift in identity, and it changes how you move through the world. And let me be clear, this is not a one-time project. Focusing on yourself is a lifelong discipline. There will be days you get distracted, days you slip back into old patterns, days when the voices of doubt get loud again. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. The measure of success isn't how perfectly you stayed on track, how quickly you realign when you drifted. Some people will misunderstand this focus. They'll say you've changed, and they'll be right. Because the point of life is to change, to evolve, to become more capable of living in alignment with who you truly are. And as you grow, you'll notice your tolerance for certain things gets smaller. Small talk, negativity, excuses. That's not arrogance, that's clarity. You're no longer willing to dilute yourself to fit environments that can't hold the fullness of who you're becoming. When you consistently pour into yourself, you're not just building a better life, you're building a better version of you who can handle more life. More challenges, more opportunities, more joy, more responsibility. That's why self-focus isn't selfish, it's stewardship. You've been given one mind, one body, one life. What you do with them determines everything else. So here's what I want you to leave with when you stop trying to convince people of your worth and start building it from the inside out. You stop being at the mercy of their approval. You reclaim your time, your energy, your future. And when that happens, you're no longer chasing life. You're leading it. The question you have to answer now is simple. Are you willing to become the kind of person your future needs you to be? Because the moment you say yes to that, you stop being a passenger and start being the driver. And that's when everything changes.